to see a brighter future through health and fitness and through other techniques and strategies that he helps his clients with. So, Jesse, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and we'll get into the podcast.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. I'm Jesse. I'm from the great, I guess you would say, not the greatest, but the best variety, you would say, College Station, Texas. I work in a variation of lifestyle coach as well as navigation and many more. After today, Pete has taught me even further about lifestyle. And that's what I do for my clients. I try to help everyone understand that there's different paths and different fields that we all need to just set back and just really look at the big map and see where we all want to be in life and how we can benefit from just a sequence of questions or just letting someone just sit down and listening to you is
Mm-hmm.
usually the best way we can all with each other give each other the opportunity to like hear our thoughts but not be alone.
Yeah, that's so dead on. I had a person that was focusing on mindset, and we were talking specific about getting the words out because we have between 12 and 60,000 thoughts that go through our head, and we make 500 decisions every day. So when we have that ability to talk and communicate, it brings feelings and it brings an understanding to our brain. How did you get into this type of work? What was your first kind of part of like, hey, this is what I want to do?
It was actually kind of funny. I was just sitting down and I was tutoring, and tutoring kind of what led to uh, me to pursue more of counseling. And it was a professor who sat back and like told me about Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins is a phenomenal success coach.
Mhm.
And I just at first it was like a little setback. I'm like, I'm not really into this. But then I actually read about Tony's story, about the man himself. I wasn't reading about his techniques. I was just like, and I had that like aha moment that I have been doing what he was describing. And after that, I just started to embrace it and study it more and more every day to the point where I offered services to students at the university level, to the college level, to the even later on in the college level of high school and transition to college. It
Mhm.
was just because when I realized how much the youth and how we, after we leave university in the business world, I started like collecting my clients and just understanding like my that's my true aha moment was from realizing I was setting myself back. And sometimes we just have to step back and let someone like a professor or mentor tell us like not like what you are, but where you could be. And I will say that that's if it weren't for that professor, like just setting aside and just hey, you should really look into this. This is probably a field that you can really help people.
Mhm.
And it just takes that one person just tell you and believe in you to try something new or just try it.
Yeah, that's so wise. I too got first introduced to personal development through Tony Robbins. And it was probably 25. I almost bought a franchise with a buddy of mine. And it was like, yes, his story. And I had never heard, that personal growth was so important to our growth in life. It's like we take physical showers, but we don't take mental showers and we don't work on ourself as hard as sometimes we work on just staying clean. And so what did you find like in your journey and if you could connect the past of when you just started to where you are today, what is your mental shower like? How do you lean into personal growth to help Jesse grow?
I always look out. to like new books or recommendations that either a client or a fellow coach recommends, and I always just set it aside and like put it in my priorities. I don't just like, oh, I'll look into it. I set it aside as a priority, so that way I give that book the utmost focus and understanding. Because if it's important to my fellow coach or my client, then I need to show the same like to them by giving them the same respect because he recommended a book. A book is sometimes all we need to do is pick it up and read. We
Hmm.
can now listen to it. We can now like sometimes even try to give ourselves opportunity to like even look at it on our Kindle or iPad. We have the technology. We have to also like realize we have the technology that's like a massive abundance library. Like we never had seen this in centuries. And that's how we self-learn and that's how we self-help ourselves is to like really get ourselves basically we feed on knowledge. We feed
Hmm.
on stories. Like stories are like sometimes the best dessert, and we don't know why because but we will sit down for hours listening and conversating with others about their life, about their careers, about their it's that type of like aha moment. We realize it is the best thing that we all do for one another. It's just sit down and listen to one another, but have a conversation is so deep. A book, you're learning from someone from who you have never met or may never meet. He probably passed away hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But we still pick up a book. We get inspired. We now see like a future film from Homer's The Odyssey right now, starring a huge, tremendous amount of starlets. But you could still pick up the Odyssey and read it yourself and make your own world and see how you would have depicted or how Homer would have depicted it in his time.
Yeah, that's so good. I had a change in my life like 4 years ago, and a stroke slowed me down. I had 49 days to think, and I never had that much time to think. And, today critical thinking is so critical because we got all the information we need and we have abundance of information, but our brains, if we just like absorb information, we can't make the change in our life. And I think for me personally was hiring a coach made that change in my life. I always thought I was self-disciplined and I could learn on my own. And then I heard a story about Phil Jackson and when he came in with the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan, they called him the Zen coach. And it was like I realized that at that time he was pouring into himself to learn. And then he goes on and takes a good, talented, great player like Michael Jordan, who was scoring all kinds of points, but he wasn't winning championships. And he put together a team, and Michael Jordan bought in, and the team bought in to his coaching. And he went on to have, I think, 10 plus championships. What did you do? My question is like, at what point did you see that difference like we talked about? When you're being coached, when you're have the ability to get that feedback and be able to work with somebody, how did Jesse grow through that experience?
I, I actually still see my mentor. That was my coach, and I see him every when I can, either through the phone, through a laptop, and when I do see him in person, it's usually just like an occasion where we just really just let loose and just like just chit chat for a while.
Hmm.
But when I also like I'll mention him right now, his name is Steve Larkin. He's a talented actor, but he was also my mentor for wow, we'll say 15 years already. And
Hmm.
so it's like I also look into like other coaches that I've worked with. John is also, you can follow John on my LinkedIn account, and Mary, and as well as Lisa. Those are coaches I usually go out to. Like we usually do what you would call a brainstorm session. We'll just like not criticize, but simply like, what can I do better? Where like we can just sit down and just chit chat to one another. For me, it was like I never thought of doing a brainstorm session. I just assumed brainstorm session was just like something like you only need if you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of
Mhm.
times it's best to just listen to one another and talk to one another to really like see what not what mistakes you're doing, but what successes you have accomplished. And a lot of times we uh, through the years of coaching, I've realized we're so quick to listen to our enemies, we're so little to listen to our best friend. And every
Mm,
day we see them. And all we have to do is but look in the mirror and tell ourselves, listen to your good friend, listen to your
mm,
best friend, because they have the best and most gracious part of you in mind. Your enemy is just the form of not anxiety, but of doubt and fear of like, what if I had done this yesterday? And then the day comes, why didn't I do that? Because it's not just a fear, it's just mistakes that we always look forward, not the success that we have accomplished. It's okay to fall because when you fall, you can get right back up. And the
mm,
fear of not getting back up is usually how some, not just clients, but just also how we see an athlete. Like we never see that athlete again go back on the field on or back on the court because they're not the same person after their first defeat. But some of them, like you just mentioned, Michael Jordan, he has gone through so much and still played the way he played. It was like a one thing after another thing, and it was always. I know I'm selling a trader, but when the Chicago Bulls and Houston Rockets played each other, I was rooting, and my whole family looked at me like I'm the enemy. But it's just that I always was inspired by Michael Jordan, not because of the athlete, but the person.
mhm,
Because of his, if it wasn't his mother that inspired him, it was his father.
mhm,
And I just, to me, that was like the type of athlete that a lot of us growing up, we want to be inspired by, to still follow our path in life as well as our faith in life, because he was a very outreach to his community in Chicago as well as very parts of Atlanta and very like his like a lot of people don't know like his mother like I know you can watch it now air that but I used to hear that story so many times about how his mother did not take control of the it was her instinct to ask. And that's like how we should all like inspire to. And sometimes our clients feel like, why do I not ask myself? Or why is it so simple? Because it's not that you're being hard on yourself. It's just that you're not giving yourself time to listen to yourself. And
mm,
like you mentioned earlier, Pete, a lot of times we just need somebody to just not tell us, but simply like let us hear ourselves out to really hear ourselves in order to be the better person that we all will want to be. If we want to see change in the world, we have to start with ourselves.
mm. Yeah, that's so good. I have a friend, and she's my like favorite health and fitness coach, and she helped me get back into physical therapy because I wasn't seeing progress. And she called a friend who knew about neuro and told me about intensity and get back in there and get back to work. And here's my question: we hear, I called her, that was about January, towards the end of January, and I said, Crystal, how long is it going to be crowded in this gym? Because I can't even get all my equipment because everybody's flocking in the first of the year. They have that, like, all right, this is the year I'm going to do it. And they depend on willpower. Now, I'm a big proponent of atomic habits, and I go to the gym 6 days a week, and I'm at PT and OT 1 day a week. So I'm 7 days a week because I got to get my cardiovascular in. I can't run like other people to get the 1,000 steps, But I
Mm.
stack all these things. It doesn't matter when I go. I'm so looking forward to going because I listen to my personal development. I meditate. I think. I focus, and I feel that. What tell our viewers like what does willpower mean to you in your profession? How when people say, "Oh, I got to have that willpower," what does Jesse say?
I say, switch your thoughts to hard, switch your thoughts to easy. Because
Mm,
sometimes when we see something hard, we treat it like it's the most impenetrable wall. But if we treat it like it was easy, or give ourselves opportunity, how can I make this thing as vulnerable as possible in order to accomplish it? Because if we look at this big brick wall, that's all it stays. But if we treat something that's easy like it's hard, because a lot of times it's just like we do little things around the house, and but we like set it aside, and then we realize the whole floor is covered in clothes, books, random things. You're like, how did I get here? Because you thought it would be easy to pick it up later. You set it aside,
mm,
and it's that aha moment of like you leave a lot of stuff on the floor, you leave, and you don't pick it up. So how about you treat it like it's hard and just take care of it right away? So that way it doesn't build up to where it becomes that like cluttered mind. Cluttered mind is one of the biggest opponents to willness. Like I will do this today. I will do this today. Then something comes up. Then another thing comes up. But if you were to like make a list, people like I don't like to follow lists. What about tasks? Oh, well, I'm not really good at task oriented. You know, it's that you start hearing like the cluttered mind just like start one and another. And the willness has to find the will to go. And if there's nothing in its way, you will succeed, you will accomplish. And when we look at something very hard, we treat it as like as Tim Ferriss from the famous podcast as writing of the 4 hour work week once said, if we had set aside and make things easy, and how would we make it easy? Why do we just set ourselves for failure? And that's
mm,
why I feel like willness can be so accomplished. It's that's how I realized it. I mean, a lot of times mine was just that it wasn't just exercising, it was just like I would find every excuse in the book. I'll set it aside for Monday. I'll set it aside for Monday. That Monday never came until I realized I wanted to succeed. I have to make it my importance. Similar to the book Allergy I said earlier, set it aside like it's the most important thing on your list.
mm.
And with my clients, I always like, okay, in a level of five, is this the most important or is this the least important? Okay, if it's the most important thing, then that's on top of your list. The least should not be your best worry. It will be accomplished. It will be completed once we start doing this. And a lot of times I tell people, I say this for clients, but a lot of times we have to tell our other coaches or other friends, but it's not to advise or just tell people. It's just to like remind ourselves as well. Tell ourselves, you have to put what's important to you on the top of your list and accomplish that right away. And don't treat it like, oh, I'll do it when I can, or I'll set it aside. And the clutter will start cleaning up every day by day. Like you said, you saw the gym goers this year. Like a lot, like I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna follow my New Year's resolution. And every time we hate to see this because by the month of February or March, they stop going.
Mhm.
And it's like they're gonna do this. They're gonna come back. I hope they come back. I know like it's packed right now, but you want to hope they come back so they accomplish what they need to accomplish for their year goal or just for their health.
That's so good. When I was asking Crystal, I said, like, how long is it going to be before I'll be able to get back on my equipment? She says, just give it a couple weeks. So, but this is what I wanted to ask you about. When it comes to like, I love that you said the tasks. She said, like, we have all these goals And when we lose our health because we didn't prioritize our health, we only have one goal: get our health back. And so, prioritizing our list, if we're not prioritizing the energy that we can generate physically, we won't have the stamina to be able to do what we want to do. So, how do you generate energy? Do you have a routine in the morning, or do you have a regular routine that you like to do that energizes you and gives you the energy and the stamina to accomplish what you want?
I will say I do it 3 times a day. I know it sounds a little odd, but I set 20 minutes a timer on my calendar every day to like 20 minutes workout, 10 minutes read a book, 30 minutes. I know it sounds like very little, but I do it 3 times during the day. So
Mm,
that way I'm always giving myself energy boost because it's a like let's say you're stuck on a really good chapter, you're like you gotta keep on reading. And then the same happens when we binge watch television, which is shocking because I've actually had to call somebody and say, you need to get off your television. Why? Or how did you know? It's 9 o'clock and you said you really love that season of so and so. I know you. I trust you to make the right decision. Thank you. The next day. Because he was like, I really had to be awake because at 7 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from my boss. Imagine if I had not called him. He would have been binge watching until like maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. His boss calls him. He would not be that full aware and awake individual. That for me, the same goes for our mind. The only way I could keep myself energized boost or energy boost is to give myself a thank you to my future self by exercising. It's just um, the best way you can reward yourself for your in the future is to also realize your past self did the work, did the labor. It's just 20 minutes, yes, but I do it 3 times, so it adds up to 60 minutes. I know a lot of people want to do like the full hour, but you also have to remember I practice muscle memory. Muscles tend to remember. So I try different type of workouts so that way I give my time to my body to recover, not to adjust. Because
mm,
once it starts adjusting, it's hard for it to like, oh, I can't do the same workout again because now it remembers it. So I have to switch it up a bit. So that way I'm giving my joints, giving my muscle, giving my ligaments time to like a new workout. So that way you
mm,
can still grow the recovery rate. I know a lot of people will drink like a kombucha or the avocado shake I heard about. It's cool and all. Even now I'm like there's certain things that I set aside. I'm like I'm gonna try it, but I'm not gonna say I drink it. But I love how some people are going back to the old ways of recovery of drinking cucumber water because of the salt intake that we don't put a lot of salt on ourselves to give ourselves some time, or a fruit shake, not like a milkshake or anything like that. It's just drinking sprinkled water with sparkling water with frozen fruits, so that way you can dilute and you're drinking and eating to give yourself and give your body some time to giving the bright punctual of vitamins, but also something to snack on that isn't from the vending machine, from the fast food court or fast food restaurant, because that's how I keep my energy up. It's
mm,
to reward myself by giving 10 minutes of this and 20 minutes of that. So that way I give my brain a thank you as well as my body a thank you.
mm,
Then my clients benefit by seeing me not enthusiastic, but seeing me here. Because the worst thing you want to do is like, that's really interesting. That's the worst thing you could do to a client. You're not like really you feel you make them vulnerable. They're already vulnerable, and you're taking
mhm,
that like vulnerability like it's nothing. And that could be very hard for some of us to we have to like step back and like how would you want a coach to give you their impulse of like we all want to be Tony Robbins. Okay? We all want to run up and like, yes, knock this out, Stan. We also have to remember our clients just need just that person to listen. I
Yes.
would love to be like Tony Robbins 100%, but at the same times, what some of my clients are going through are sometimes burnout and navigation. They want
Yes.
that reasonable older brother, or just have someone just give them a calm, relaxing atmosphere. And that's how I keep my energy up. Thank you
Mm,
for asking.
I love that. I do kind of like the Pomodoro. I have timers too, and I have reminders, just like you said, 3 times a day. If we don't remind ourselves to do things, days can kind of blend into others. The old binge learner or binge projects, you're working like 6, 8 hours. Your brain doesn't respond to that because it just starts going down if we don't reset, re energize, and think of ourselves as, and we are generating the energy and it's intentional. How do you handle all the distractions? Because you got AI, you got all this stuff, information's flowing. Our brains aren't designed for storing information. How do you handle distractions?
Oh, I'm glad you brought up AI, especially. That's one of my number one questions. I thought the first month of this year I was going to be focusing a lot on fitness. It was a lot of navigating with students and people who were recently laid off because of the massive layoffs of 2025
Mm-hmm.
of AI relation. But I, for me, like how I not get distracted, I don't make it personal as well because I also like I haven't also been told by certain people, what about coaching? Isn't coaching gonna be on the chopping block next, or teaching and doctors? And I tell people the same truth that I always tell people. It's a tool. It's not a replacement.
Yeah.
You're still gonna need the human touch. You're gonna need
Yes.
the human sensibility, listening, creativity. It's still gonna be required to make things go. I mean, I think of the most focused mind is the blue collar worker, and one of the ones I always listen to. He has since has passed away 2 years ago. Yako Kadajuto Moto. He worked at the factories of Toyota Group. He had an elementary level education,
Mm-hmm.
started working as soon as he could, and he was referred to working at Toyota when Toyota was still Toyota, like barely starting out. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, learned every job he can possibly get. It wasn't to get a paycheck. Like I said earlier, the like you were just asking me about distraction. He was just focused about it. Was like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory. He was like, oh my God, I get to work with these tools. I get to try new things. He just kept on learning and kept on learning and kept on learning. And a lot of times when we get distracted, we find little things we want to like focus on, but we also have to like, what is this benefit? What's this like? It's sort of like an investment. How is this investment going to benefit me in the future? Well, you give yourself time to realize what's important with the distraction. Why is it sending me aside? And we have to ask our mind the 5 questions. Is it worth it? Is it time? Do I have the resources? Do I have the means? Can I make this a distraction important?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes our brains just tell us like we need to like be aware of this, but also like we also need to focus in front of us. Yaka, he was able to set aside distraction like it was no big thing, because a lot of his coworkers would tell him like, "Why are you so like drawn?" He would say, "I have the samurai's focus. I want to not just make this into my career, but I want to focus and benefit my company.
Mm-hmm.
For they have rewarded me by trusting me with their tools or with their equipment. It's just like how we treat a child. We are grateful we get to raise this child. We are grateful we can grow this child. And a lot of times, a lot of parents beat themselves up saying that, I mean, I'm not doing enough. How about we take that distraction of like the doubt and we try to look at it like this, looking for the rewards. What have you accomplished today? Well, they learned how to change themselves. It was because I was exhausted. Hey, that's a success. It may
Mhm.
not sound like a great success, but it's a
Yes.
success nonetheless. And distraction could be our brains just telling us we should set this aside, write it down, see, and then when we look at it again, you're like, uh, binge eating, uh, that was a bad idea. And there we go. But a
Hmm.
distraction is like you said, Pete, is how does it affect us? It affects us sometimes our whole week or whole month because we just assume that distraction is important. But if we focus what's in our key goal of accomplishing for that day and for that week, and we try to minimize our distractions like an injury take time to recover. Our
Hmm.
brain get distracted, so we have to understand why it's getting distracted. Is it a form of anxiety because it's not being picked up or cleaned? Is it keeping us up at night to where we don't finish our task? Is it causing us to not accomplish our work accordingly because we're like still stuck on that first thing? So that's why I would say about distraction. It's always about how we look at it. Is it something to look into or set aside?
Ooh, that's so good. Before I had my stroke, I was a runner, and
Mm.
I was kind of a little intimidated by the gym. I didn't go. I had an exercise thing I do at home, but I missed out on one valuable thing that I didn't know I was missing out on, and that's community. I get energized when I'm around people in my gym, and I love talking to them. I like connecting with them. But I thought I justified myself as I didn't know what I didn't know, and I just said, I'll get my exercise, I'll run, I'll get that high, runner's high, but I wasn't really developing the physical part, and I was missing out on community. How important is community to the growth of somebody physically?
That's a very good question. With my clients from Japan, I want to say thank you all because community is definitely one of those things that I've learned that we as a society still need. And I'm not saying it ever goes away, it's always going to be there. It could be the gym community, like you just said. It could be the book community. It could be just somewhere where you can sit down and talk with somebody. Just knowing there's a group out there. Like I live in Hollis Station, home of Texas A&M. A lot of the students that go there, they're either Republican Party, Democratic Party, the Christians, Baptists, Methodists, variation of faiths, and different variety of thought. Like whenever I go to do some tutoring or I'm just doing remote work for coaching, I do most of my international, my community are my fellow coaches, my fellow gym goers, cyclists,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't function without a community. Like you could try the lone wolf, but the lone wolf is, I would say, he's the person that actually screaming for help.
Yes.
It's kind of the hardest thing to say, but it's sad but true. You can do so much by yourself. Yes, it's like a very therapeutic, and I tell you this again, it is therapeutic, but it's not therapy. Therapeutic, you need to have that person and group to give you that inspiration to get stuff done or try
Mm-hmm.
new things. Like when I started, when I joined the cycling club, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I am not the most athletic of the group, but they said I was the anchor and the lead. I'm like, So I'm the last guy and the first guy in part of the cycling group, but that makes no sense because I was a senior and I always was aware of everybody's position. So that means I knew where everybody was. So that way I knew what to control the speed of the group and increase the speed of the group, not like try to go for gold while sacrificing everybody's body. I was able to like go back and forth of the group. So that way I would know this group needs to like we need to take a break in about 20 minutes. I'm gonna give
Hmm.
them all signals and let them know. So I'm gonna go ahead of them right now so I can give them a hand sign or start telling them one by one, we're gonna stop in 20 minutes, we're gonna stop in 20 minutes. And some are like, oh, I can still do this. You can, but I want you to also get recharged. So that way we can all and a lot of times that's all we need in a community. It's just like that one person to just look out for each one of us, but we're all looking out for one another. Not like one's better than the rest, so we all have to follow him or her. We all have to ask each other, what can we do better? What can we do today that we couldn't have done yesterday? And community, that's all you it's a I know people don't like to say it, but we all don't like to listen to criticism. But criticism is just input from another, not like a form of like disrespect. It's just someone probably just looking out for you that you just need to hear and listen. If I had not listened to my professor about reading about Tony Robbins, I may have never been a coach because I took that as not as a like a form of criticism. I took it as advice because
Hmm.
I was like, why would I want to be a coach? It sounds like somebody's trying to sell me something. But a coach, like we have to look at famous people who follow coaches, like Kennedy, the president of the United States, he had a coach by his side. And there was also very famous writers like and the CEO and CFO of Disney, as well as like even Steve Jobs had a coach. His coach was not renowned, but he said that I still go to him every day. That
Hmm.
my wisdom I get it from myself because he put that hunger in you. Because
Hmm.
you sometimes need that community and you sometimes need that one coach or you just need that one person to like, hey, set aside, think about it.
Ooh, that's so insightful. I have a person, I'm in Rotary with her, and she has three coaches. She is a physical fitness coach, she is a career coach, and she is a life coach. And, we were talking about getting in the flow, that all her coaches now are working together, and she's kind of in sync and has that momentum. So, for those out there that think just one coach will do it, hey, when you don't always know it, but the successful people tap into the resources of other coaches and they look for areas that they can get accountability, can get growth. And if somebody's already been down that path and they can help you move faster, it's a great thing. But what I see is people's lack of kind of, I don't know if it's respect, but investing in themselves. They don't have the confidence. I know I struggled with it. I would always seek out stuff for free, but it wasn't until I paid a coach years ago, not too many years ago after my stroke, that I saw the acceleration that was possible because I put my money where my mouth is and we pay attention what we pay for. My I could go on all day. I love our conversation, but I want to be respectful of time. How how can people get a hold of you? Then I have one more question.
Well, obviously by following you through as well as our LinkedIn account, that's the best way to contact me. As well as like after this podcast, my email that Pete has, he'll share it with his community. That's the best way you can contact me and get a hold of me. And like Pete said is very true. A lot of times we could be with a coach, a therapist, because sometimes you may think like, "Oh, I'm going to therapy. Why do I need a coach? Or why do I have a coach if I have therapy?" And back and forth, back and forth. Like Pete just said, it's an investment in yourself. It may not sound great for some of us because we hear the cha-ching sound, but let me put it this way. If you can talk to your past self, what would your past self tell you? I wish we would have done this. I wish I would have done that. A coach, a therapist, a counselor, and yes, like in what Pete just said right now, we always look for free. If you have someone in your community, like a mentor or someone who, let's say you're just starting your path to fitness or business, look for someone, outreach. They may say yes or they may say no, but it's always good to ask to see maybe you can ask for help right away.
Mhm.
And I encourage you all uh, to reach out to a coach. Each one of us either offer a free service for one coaching session, or just to see if we can like just work something out so that we can start a plan, and that way we can start your goals and set goals and accomplish them. And again, what Pete also said, like some people like to go one, two, three types of coaches. I covered four different fields, and the reason why is because I know if I collaborate with one field with another field of coaching, like navigation, life, health, and wealth, it helps my clients because sometimes there's like some deeper questions like, why am I not putting more money aside for my fitness goals? Or why am I not putting my fitness importance with my health in order to get better? Or why? And we all know it's not a quick answer, but it's like we can ask them the sequence of questions as well as set back and let them hear themselves. So that
Mhm.
way we're not like telling them all this like information right away to get this done right away. So I encourage you all, like Pete said, sometimes you have to invest in yourself. It could be what you may say, it's it's too much. Why not for yourself?
Yes.
Because the worst thing you could do to yourself is like think it's being selfish. I encourage people to be self-care,
Mm.
to take care of yourself is the best way to invest in yourself for the future. The best way you can invest in your body is to exercise, to
Mm.
take good care of it by eating right. The best way you could give your brain the I guess you would say brain candy is to pick up a book, learn something new to inspire your creativity.
Mhm.
And the same goes for everything else. It'll all line up. A coach is an investment in not just yourself, but your family, your friends, and your community. Because you get to really deepen the connections that you want to grow and change the habits, benefit from the habits, and grow better habits.
That is so good. That I love that. Encourage our community. Share this with people you know that want to make health a priority, because you can do a lot of things, but if your health declines, you only have one thing that you want to do is get your health back. And you want to be proactive in that. So, Jesse, thank you for that. What would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
Really listen to P's questions. Though he asked me about my business, listen to his questions and start writing down what goals and sets that you can accomplish. Though this was an interview for me, maybe you should set yourself aside like if it was an interview for yourself too. What can I do better? What can I accomplish? As a coach, I encourage you. A question is not something that is a obstacle, it's an opportunity.
Hmm.
And listen really deeply to Pete's questions. I mean, it's a learning session, I know. I didn't mean to turn this into a coaching session, but every opportunity that we take is the opportunity for a better job, better career, or school, or benefit for ourselves as well as our family and our friends. So
Mm.
that's what I would say from you take with this podcast and any of
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thanks for my day to excite. I love starting my day. I get up early, but to have a podcast on a Saturday morning just excites me, and kind of like it just gives me that energy that we get from people. And you've had so many insightful things that you've shared with our community. And I want to thank you for that.
And a quick reminder to your community, happy Valentine's, you all. I hope you have a good one, and thank you all for attending.
It's good. Thank you.